Welcome, folks. Thanks so much for joining us for our Wellness Summit yet again. We hope you've enjoyed some of our previous episodes. We have some great speakers lined up for you today. So what I'm going to talk about for you today is actually about your financial health and wellness. And I've got this little swanky badge from the Boost Facebook event that I went to. And I went to that really because they know best how I can share their message. And for those of you that don't know, I actually built my studio. I built this business on Facebook. And so finding the right people that resonated with my message, that can be really, really tricky. And, only so many trees have to die in order to send out postcards, and let's not even talk about cost or anything along those lines. So when I first started off, I was subletting in other people's spaces. And one of the downsides of that is you obviously don't have a big sign out front that says yoga in big blue letters like we do now here at Modak Plaza. But, this kind of thing makes it really hard to let people know what you're doing and what you're up to. So basically what I would do is I would get on Facebook and I would let everybody know, hey, this is what we're doing. These are the classes that we have. Come join us. I would say in a nutshell that I built my business on the idea of easy yoga, right? Because I like easy yoga, I like yummy yoga, I like gentle yoga. I'm not so much into the whole tricky asana arm balances or any of that. I mean, those are super cool, and I will tell you that there's a discipline to the mind that one must have in order to enjoy that kind of practice. And we do offer that here at the studio. I have many instructors that do that. But what I enjoy is easy yoga. So that would be the message that I would come to find and share with my audience on Facebook. I know some of you might be cringing a little bit, thinking, oh my gosh, I hate social media or whatever it is. And with that, I just wanted to take just a moment to introduce you to another way of thinking. And that could be that I treat Facebook much like a cocktail party. So I show up at my cocktail party, I'm looking to have some fun, I'm looking to chat, I'm listening to listen, maybe I'll learn some things, be entertained. It's a social entertainment platform. It's not so much like my therapist or my coach or my BFFF who has to listen to the event or anything like that, because I do those things. So I think what's more important than anything is for people to understand that regardless of what people choose to share on Facebook, that's their own personal choice, and it's not up to us to decide what people should or should not do. I think it's more what people could or could not do. I mean, there might be a little bit of that, right? But we all get to do our own thing, and that's actually kind of nice. That's what makes it great. So for me, I authentically come forward and I share, hey, this is what I do. I offer easy yoga, and over time my business would grow and my students would begin to outgrow me, which I love. So I started bringing in other instructors to come in and help teach, and maybe some students that were looking for something more athletic. There could be others that are looking for a little bit more yin, some looking for restorative, the whole gamut, all the different reasons why people might want to do yoga. And I would find that my audience on Facebook would begin to evolve and grow and change. So obviously there's that old saying of content is king, right? So if you have some sort of service that you provide and you're constantly trying to come up with this amazing content that's going to be engaging and flashy enough for people to stop scrolling long enough so that you can share your message with them, which I'm really passionate about doing. If you were trying to do that, that can mean a lot of work and actually take away from what you love to do, whatever your practice is that you do. So for me, I find it's actually more fun to just be engaging on social media platforms and get to know about other people, be curious about other people, invite other people to come to the studio and guest host workshops. And they initially came as students, and then they came to present during our yoga teacher training and so on. And over time, this thing started just kind of create itself organically, that the studio would then be kind of a home base for mindful wellness practitioners to come share their message, whatever it may be. And some of those speakers have been speaking on these wellness summits, and some have yet, and then there's other I've yet to meet and hope to and have share their message on this platform as well. So really what we're aiming to do is the collective group of founding members that decided to start this wellness summit. I certainly didn't do this on my own. Would be, can we get our folks together and share our message online in a place that's safe and easy to reach many, many other people? And that may mean that you come to my studio one day, and that might mean that you never come to my studio one day. And it's not really about that. It's really about just cross-pollinating our ideas to our different audiences so that we can help bring you the most holistic way of living a happy and healthy life. So with that, with my Facebook seminar that I went to, the big takeaway that I got personally from that interaction is content might be king, but engagement's queen. And everybody knows that the queen runs the house. So with that, I hope you have an amazing day. Enjoy our Wellness Summit. I hope that you get so much from it. Feel free to leave your comments in the field there. If you want to drop your email address in your field there, we'll get that and we'll send you out some complimentary resources, and we'll be sure to delete those threads and such, or whatever platform works for you. If you would rather not post anything publicly on this live chat forum, I understand. You can certainly do that on our website, and we have links there with forms that you can fill out and say, hey, I want to know more about this, or I want to know about that. I would also love requests. What presenters would you love to hear from? Who would you love to have me invite to come speak for you? Are you such a person? Do you offer such a service? So if that's the case, grab your iPhone, turn it sideways, and send me a video and say, I want to be part of the summit. I want to share my message. I have something to say. I want to see the people move towards wellness. All right, so with that, I'm out. Have a beautiful day. Shanti Shanti.
Hi guys, Coach Sarah here with Red Phoenix Nutrition, and I'm super excited to share with you a little bit about what I do and how I operate and how it can help you. So I do one-on-one coaching. It's totally customized to every individual, really on the premise of respecting that we are all different. We all have different needs. We are so dynamic in our makeups. So we all have different needs and we have different preferences. So there is no one size fits all that fits everybody to reach their goals, as everybody's goals are different. And goals are different because we have different reasons for them. So two people might have the same goal of fat loss, but they've come from different places. So everything about them is a different makeup. So they're probably going to need two different strategies. So that's why we don't do kind of blanket fixes. It's all totally customized and personalized. So the other thing that's super important to me is really focusing on what's going on inside, right? So if we focus on what's going on in the inside, instead of focusing on like the outside aesthetics piece and the pounds on the scale and what it looks like, right? All the outside kind of surface things. If we stop putting our focus there and instead start focusing on like embracing us and loving ourselves for who we are and really embracing your journey, you will find that working on all the pieces on the inside first, I like to call it my healthify process. If you do that, you're going to find that things kind of start to just come along on the outside for you inadvertently. You will start to see that progress. And working through that is a lot of mindset work, because there's a lot of pieces that we've kind of been brainwashed through the years, even just by ourselves, by the programs we've been running all our whole lives, by formed by society and just the way we grew up. We have all these labels kinds of things of how we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to look, and what the scale should read and what size clothes we should wear, and the doctor says I'm obese. What the reality is, none of those things really matter in the big picture, right? So it's really about loving yourself, right? That's the first step. So it's a huge mindset piece that we're constantly working on. Learning that things like anxiety, right, and the stress that we put on ourselves have a huge part to do with your progress, whether your goal is fat loss or your goal is performance or strength gains, your anxiety and, stressing about those little things like, oh my gosh, I gained 3 pounds on the scale. That little thing going on in your brain, you might think, oh, it's just this little thing, right? It's actually a major thing, because what's happening is you're having a stress response. Your hormones are going crazy. Your cortisol is going up higher and higher. Cortisol elevated over long periods of time stores body fat. So it's real easy to kind of accumulate long periods of time, right? Because you're like, oh, I just thought about it for a second, right? That, oh my gosh, I'm up 3 pounds on the scale. And then you were like, oh my gosh, I didn't pack my lunch. I don't know what I should eat for lunch. What am I going to eat that's not going to store more body fat? What can I eat that's going to show me muscle gains? And you're stressing about that next thing, right? So that's where we kind of have to stop and create more self-awareness and realize we stress ourselves out all the time about crazy things. So that's a huge piece, right? Mindset is a ginormous piece of what we do. So it's called nutrition coaching, but there's so much more than it's not just about the food. So working through your mindset, right, is a huge piece that I like to do. So, and your hormones. So I'm also hormone certified, because, again, kind of the fundamentals of what we do at Red Phoenix Nutrition is working on everything on the inside in order to show you those results on the outside. So working on hormones, right? Our hormones play such a huge part in what goes on with our physical body, right? But here's the thing. It's almost like the physical and topical pieces become a bonus, because if you really focus on what's going on inside of you, like working on your hormones, like getting the right amount of micronutrients, the right amount of vegetables every day that we forget about eating. I like to tell people, be a vegetarian who eats meat if you eat meat, or be a vegetarian who also pairs it with protein. I don't care what your goals are. There's always a way to do it that is going to give you a higher quality of living, right, by your food choices, with your food quality. So that is also going to affect your hormones in a huge way. Once we can kind of get those hormones harnessed, again, that's when you start to see those things on the outside start changing. The first thing you're going to start to notice is clarity in your head, and more focused, less tired, less groggy, all of those kinds of things through the Healthify process. And then, obviously, we clearly talk about how are you going to get there, right? So it's nutrition coaching, but how do we do it, right? So everybody's different. Some people love counting macros. Some people super stress out about counting macros. So that's not the right plan for them. So it's intuitive eating and learning what that means and how to do it. Being educated about what you're putting into your body. Quality of food and understanding what is, your nutrients and how your neurotransmitters literally aren't firing properly if you are not getting the right nutrients in your body. So it's really so much not about the macros, and it's so much not about the calories. It's about, again, focusing on the inside, getting in all those nooks and crannies that are inadvertently going to, again, show you progress on the outside if you're diligent. It's about, consistent persistence. I like to say 90% of the time, if you can eat clean and, get your tons of veggies in every day and eat the rainbow of those vegetables, if you can do that most of the time, get your protein from clean sources 90% of the time, then it leaves you, that other 10, 15% of the time to eat what you want. And lots of times that's, have pizza, have the birthday cake, have ice cream, because we have to be human also. And so it's also not super over restricting, because what happens is when we do that and we say, well, I'm going to commit to being this label diet, right? When we have a day that we are not on that label diet, we tend to say things like, oh, I failed. Oh, I fell off the wagon, which brings us right back to what that does is increase your stress level, increases your cortisol, cortisol elevated over long periods of time stores body fat, right? There it is again. It's like this reoccurring theme in our lives. So it's really kind of breaking down the barriers and identifying when those things are happening and becoming more self-aware so that you can make the progress that you're looking to make. Again, whether it's fat loss or performance or strength gains, we're just enjoying life, which I have to say, like, right, that's my goal right here. Like, I just want to enjoy my quality of life. And then the other piece is, like, how do you create accountability for yourself, right? So if you're not working with a coach, or if you are working with a coach even, you still need to find ways to create accountability so that you have follow through. I will just say, I think the biggest benefit of staying on track and eating clean 90% of the time and getting movement in daily, the biggest benefit is you feel amazing. You start to feel this shift in your energy because you're giving your body actually what it needs, and now it's responding for you. You're more clear, you're mentally clear, you're more focused, you've got more energy. So that to me is like the best reason to like stay accountable and stay on top of your stuff. However, there's other things that we can do. And one of the big things that I love is playing games. So I think it's super important to keep things fun, to keep yourself accountable. Things like, having Post-its all over the house that say eat your vegetables, or drink your water, whatever it takes. If we think about the reasons we hold back from doing those things, again, it kind of comes down to ego and surface things. Like we're afraid, like what, my husband's gonna think I'm a lunatic, if I have Post-its all over the calendar. That's okay. Like, it's okay. So it's about like kind of letting go of that and having fun with it. Here's the beautiful thing is when you do create games for yourself and you start to have fun with everyday little things, and it's pretty kind of cool to have fun with things that are going to help you get closer to your goals, right? Your fitness goals, your health goals. But when you start to laugh and you start to have fun, you start to play games, here you're coming in and you're lowering your stress level without even realizing it. So again, you're freeing up that space where your cortisol was elevated all the time. Now you're showing your body something totally different. You're loving your body for who you are right now. It's something so different than you've done in the past. And so all of those things come together and show you the progress that you're looking for. Again, whether it's fat loss, aesthetics, performance, strength gains, mental clarity, just enjoying life. So that's how I do it. It's all customized, all one-on-one coaching. You can reach me at redphoenixnutrition.com or sarah@redphoenixnutrition.com. And any questions, I look forward to helping you with. And yeah, have a great day.
Hi, it's Leona again. All right, so Dr. Leona here. I want to go ahead and talk about conscious creation today. This is what we want to talk about. The thing that kind of led me to this is, I interact with people all day long, and the concept of are we living or are we existing? Kind of the distinction of that came up. And so I wrote down a couple little things to help us differentiate. And a lot of people will come in and they talk to me and they talk about, well, I'm stuck. I'm just stuck. And I understand we all go through that. Everything in life is about ebb and flow, right? So sometimes we get stuck. But when we get stuck, maybe that's an opportunity for us to reflect on what's going on in our life and what's really working for us and what's not working for us. So I jotted down a couple things about living versus existing. So for instance, when we're living and we're consciously creating, and the operative word here is consciously creating, we're not just kind of floating about life and just we have no clue what's going on and we're reactive to what's going on. We want to shift that up so that we can be more in control of our lives, or maybe not control the world. We're more conscious of what we're creating and what we're attracting into our life. So a distinction of somebody who is living and consciously creating is they're proactive in what they're doing. They're engaged in what they're doing. They're creative and they allow thoughts to come to them and to process those thoughts and and think about those thoughts and daydream with those thoughts, and how is that applicable in their life, and how can they use that to create more joy. People who are consciously creating are joyful, they're happy, they're upbeat, they're giving, they're serving, they're using their passion, and whatever their passion is their calling for what they're supposed to be doing. And so they're consciously, whether they recognize it or not, if you're in a state of joy and enjoy giving and serving and helping and collaborating, that's another big word, collaborating with other human beings, you're probably living consciously. Okay, you're living versus somebody who is existing. People who are just existing are usually very fearful, and they're reactive, and they're very closed, and they're not open to going with the flow of life or allowing. They're just not collaborative, because when you're in a space of fear, you're not going to bring other people in to share with you in your joys and to help them get to where they want to go, because if you're fearful, you're not going to do that. You're going to hold on to everything. Okay, so they're also stuck and stagnant, and again, fear, they're also controlling and manipulative also as well, because they're just trying to make things happen, and that's not how life works, is trying to control and manipulate and everything around you. That's not conscious creation. There's another way to do things that's easier. So our life, I believe that our life, people are like, well, what am I supposed to do in life? What is my meaning of life? The meaning of life is to live. That's what the meaning of life is. You're supposed to live. And as you're living, you're supposed to create. And you're supposed to create and evolve is what we're supposed to do. And some people are like, I'm not creative. What are you talking about, create? Let's just break it down like super simple. How about you just think of creating a space at home or where you live or in your job, creating your own little sacred space that allows you somewhere to go, that makes you feel safe and comfortable, and allows you just to relax and be, not do, be in that place. And something as simple as even creating your home, taking the time to create your environment, that's conscious living. You're creating that space. So it's not about painting and, bedazzling things or crocheting or knitting. It's not about that. It's about allowing expansion, because that's what ultimately life is about. So the purpose of life is to create and to let your light shine and allow your passions to shine through, that you share them with other people, and you love what you do and you share it so effortlessly that you naturally let your light shine, that other people are naturally attracted to that because they feel that you're speaking truth, or you're authentic, or you're doing what you really love to do, versus somebody trying to sell, and get. Whole different paradigm in life. Those who are living and consciously creating, again, are in the flow of life about giving and sharing and collaborating, because they recognize everything's an energetic cycle. Those who are stuck are just fearful and stuck. So I'm trying to help people shift that headspace into, let's look at another way of doing things, okay? So with regards to what are we creating, let's break it down in a couple different subject areas. When you're consciously creating your life, we want to identify in our personal life. Here's some reflective questions in our personal life. What do we want to create in our personal life? What do we want to attract? What does that look like in our personal life? Is that our relationships? Do we want to have healthy relationships? Do we want to have more relationships? Do we want to be more active? Do we want to go dancing? What do we want to do? So in our personal life, what are we trying to create? Okay. So for instance, for me, I'm like, okay, life is fabulous. Want a little bit more balance, so I think I'll go back to dancing. So for me, in my personal life, I'm just taking a minute to say, what can I go back into? And it's funny because I was saying to somebody, yeah, I'm going to go back into belly dancing, and they're like, oh, ballet, and I'm like, no, belly. And they were like, oh, okay. And it's like, yeah, belly dancing, the movement, the grace, the ease, the unrestricted flow. That's just, again, helps me. I find when you're doing things that allow you to move, like yoga, or boxing or tai chi or qigong, all of these things, even meditation can be in motion as well. That just allows life and life flow to go through us. So in our personal lives, what are we trying to create? So let's kind of think about that. What does that look like in my personal life? What do I want to create? And then we can also look at our family. What does our family life look like? What do we want in our family life? Do we want to spend more time, quality time, not quantity, quality. And what do we want to do with that quality time? And do we want to make a date night? Do we want to make a family night that we have, we go out and have pizza, or we learn to cook together and we do things together? So again, these simple tweaks in our lives about consciously creating in these different areas ultimately are what bring us more joy in life, because we're doing what we want to do with the people we want to do it. That's the end game, right? And then in our health, what are we trying to create in our health? A lot of people aren't aware that there's some work by a guy named Dr. Bruce Lipton, and I know you've heard some of this. Dr. Bruce Lipton is a cellular biologist, and what he found is your thoughts can reprogram your DNA. So even with regards to your health, you every day, whatever you're thinking, you are creating health or you are not creating health. So for instance, a simple subtle tweak, and I might share with my patients, is if patients are sharing with me, I want to lose more weight, or I want to lose weight, I will say to them something as simple as, maybe not lose, because anytime we lose things, there's that subconscious belief in our back of our head, I don't want to lose it, don't lose it, like losing's bad. That's how we're programmed, right? So what if we release it? What if we just release what's not working for us anymore? What if we just release that? So let's shift that up from the self-defeating, I didn't lose, instead of, I'm just going to release. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to release. But also the self-talk, if you're always looking at yourself, and I caution people, if you're always looking at something and you come in and you're like, oh my God, I'm a train wreck, I'm a hot mess, I'm too overweight, I'm too this, you know what? Yeah, you're going to stay there. If somebody tells me, oh, nobody can fix this, I'm never going to heal, my answer is, yeah, you're right. You're right. Because you've already set that intention, and you're not open to anything else because you've already set that intention. So you will get what you focus on. And if you're going to focus on, nope, I can't do it, or it's not going to happen, yeah, you're going to get that. That's where your energy goes. So, these little simple tweaks, again, just being aware of what am I creating, okay? Also with regards to career. So we already discussed like personal, family, health, career. That's another thing. What do I want to create in my career? What do I want my career to look like? More freedom, more people, more interaction, more collaboration, more sacred time, more me time to like really get grounded to create as well. That's important. So getting clear on these, and your spiritual life. What are you looking for in spiritual? What can you do to connect with spirit? Because ultimately, here's the bottom line. In life, the way we evolve as a species is spirit, universe, God. Call it whatever you want, okay? Innate intelligence, universal intelligence. That information comes to us intuitively or in little hunches like, you should go over here, or maybe I should go this way, or I should try this, or I should try that. All those little intuitive little hunches is spirit moving us towards our calling and what we should be doing and what we could be doing. And as we learn to follow that more and we evolve in our spiritual path, things come to us easier, quicker, faster, okay? So, just tapping in and creating that space to allow and to take the time to listen to your intuition, your spirit, and what feels right for you. It's not always about thinking and intellectual, because that's actually not the best road, I feel. For me, I would choose to go spiritual route. And what does my intuition teach me? And what do my feelings feel like? That's a bigger internal guidance system and more on point every time than my thinking. Because thinking is logical and thinking is limited. Spirit is unlimited. Okay? So again, spiritually creating a space for us to evolve. And then financially, what are we creating financially, consciously? If we always teach our kids to save your money, save for a rainy day, you will get a rainy day. If you save for your opportunities, you can spend your money on opportunities, doing more things and having more fun. So again, these simple little tweaks of how we're viewing things and how we look at things, if we can just shift that a little bit, it opens up some more space for growth and not as limited, okay? And I get it. We were all taught as kids, save your money, save this. Don't spend the money, don't. But understand that if I'm fearful and I'm holding on, and just this is for everything across the board, if I'm fearful and holding on, how can I possibly receive? I can't receive because you're too busy holding on. If you will just let go and allow, you'll be really surprised at what comes back your way, okay? So when we're going back to existing versus living, a lot of people say, well, I just had this shitty experience or this crappy thing, or I got dumped by this one, or I got fired from my job, or I got screwed over by this one. Those are all lessons in life, and they're serving to teach us. And they serve to teach us so that we can get clearer on what it is we really want in our life. Sometimes you have to have unhealthy relationships and wake up to that and recognize this, I've outgrown this. This might have been me 2 years, 5 years ago. It's not me anymore. I've outgrown this. This is not a good space for me anymore. And you are allowed to change, and you are allowed to change your mind as you grow and evolve. It's okay to change your course and change your mind. So, the bad experience, our perceived bad experiences, are really learning opportunities. Now, you have a choice. You can view them as terrible, horrible experiences and drag them around with you for the rest of your life and define yourself as a victim and, oh, poor you. That's not going to consciously create and attract you on a higher level of what you want, okay? So don't allow something that happened. So for instance, I'm divorced, okay? I'm not going to drag that around with me. I'm divorced like I'm less than. No, not at all. Not at all. That doesn't define me, okay? So don't drag that shit around with you and let any of it define you, whether you had bankruptcy or, were fired or heartbroken. Let it go. It doesn't serve you anymore, okay? We just want to let that stuff go so we can consciously create. That taught us. What did we learn from that situation? Excellent. Let's move on and keep going, okay? Don't dwell on that. Don't get stuck on that, okay? Now, with conscious creation, we need to start getting clear. And one of the first things I'd recommend is create your space and create a little place or space for you to just have some quiet time and just listen and check in with yourself. And the ability to sit and contemplate things and be open to daydreaming is really important, I think, because once again, you're creating the space to listen. So for instance, people will say, well, you should meditate. A nice little distinction I heard at one point in time is prayer is asking for something, meditation is listening. So listening to spirit, your higher self, and that'd be cool. It's a little weird, but don't discount it. Follow it if it's resonating with you. Most people get stuck and do nothing. So I would recommend you create a space for you to have downtime and start contemplating all these different aspects of your life and what you really want to create with them. The other thing I want to make a big hey, be aware of this is, what do you spend most of your time and energy thinking about? Because if we spend most of our time and energy thinking about what happened in the past and that failed this and that failed that and they did this to me and they did that, you are completely blocking everything coming to you. Oftentimes people say, I've just been stuck. I don't know. It's the same thing. There's no good guys out there. I can never find them. They never come to me. Well, yeah, because you're kind of heavy. Do you want to attract that same thing to you? So lighten up a little bit would be what I'd say is lighten up and maybe just consider possibilities. If you're stuck in that heavy space of negative and not in a good place, I want you just to table that for a minute because maybe that hasn't been working for you and be open to possibilities of what could come your way. And the more energy that you give to things that, and time and energy you think about where you were versus what are you creating? And the way you start creating is your thoughts. Your thoughts start creating and attracting to you what you want. As you raise your vibrational frequency, it'll be like, you know what? The coolest thing happened. You'll never believe. I went to this thing and I met this person and they this and they that. Yeah, because you know why? You said yes to life. You stepped into it. You raised your vibrational frequency and things start coming your way. That's the way it works. All of us have done this where we start thinking about somebody and you're like, oh, it was really weird. They called me. No, it's not weird. You connected with them. You raised your frequency. It's not weird. So again, conversely, if you're dwelling in that negative stuff, you're going to be stuck and you're not going to move. Let it go. It doesn't serve you. It taught you a lesson. It's in the past. Where are we going? Let's start daydreaming. Daydreaming is awesome, but we also will need to figure out and follow up with actually doing things. So I'd recommend defining what it is you want to create or defining what it is you want to attract into your life, okay? And this was an interesting concept. You know, everybody's like, write it down, write it down. You hear, write it down. I'm like, why do you got to write everything down all the time? I do. I have journals all over the place. But nonetheless, didn't recognize that it goes from spiritual world to when you actually write it down on paper, you bring it into a different dimension. And that's what that's about, bringing it into a different dimension. So as you start writing down, and you don't have to be specific, I just say start taking a piece of paper and start brainstorming, or get a journal and start brainstorming about what you want to create or what you want to attract. Another thing that'll help you is if you're feeling good about something, you're like, this would be the coolest thing ever, you're on point. You're on track. When you start like, yeah, this is cool, this is what I want to do, keep following that, keep following that, keep following that. Keep following those feelings, if you will, okay? And that passion's going to lead you to where you want to go and what you want to create. The other thing I'd recommend you do is start brainstorming and collaborating with other people, okay? So, but with regards to this, you also want to be aware is sometimes when you share things with other people, they might not want you to grow and evolve. I want you to understand that collaborating with other like-minded people is awesome, and bouncing things off other like-minded people and your little support team and your little tribe is awesome. But you have to be careful that a lot of times when we start talking about our dreams and we start sharing this with other people, there's a lot of fear out there, and a lot of naysayers will be like, you can't do that, or you can't do that, you'll never be able to do that, that'll never happen. That's them dumping their crap on you, okay? That is not relevant to you. That's their stuff. It's not your stuff. So you kind of got to be a little protective with your dreams of who you're sharing them with. Don't go with those naysayers, because here's the deal. Naysayers and haters, they're stuck in fear, and they like to knock other people down, because when other people are down, then you're not outgrowing those people and those relationships. So what I would do is find some people. I don't care if it's one person. I don't care if it's your dog that you have a conversation with and be like, this is cool, this is what I'm going to create. If you can find that one other being to collaborate with you, that gives it synergy. And it's nice to bounce that off of somebody who's open and not judgmental and who's not going to knock you down, okay? So just be aware that if you start sharing your dreams and somebody's always like, yeah, that ain't ever going to happen, or good luck with that, you know, just put that in your mind, not somebody I'm going to be sharing my dreams with, and just step back and pull your energy back in and put it towards other people, okay? The other thing is you need to be realistic. Daydreaming is awesome. I love daydreaming. I love creating. I love collaborating with other people. But you also have to be realistic. If you're saying, I want to have this, I want to do this really big thing, well, you got to be able to put out the work too. That will put time, energy, work. You have to, okay? It's not just going to fall in your lap like that, okay? In order for it to be sustainable, because ultimately, if we're putting time and energy into things, we want it to be sustainable, okay? You're going to have to put the time, energy into work with that, okay? But that's all part of the growing process. So just be aware with that. One of the other things I like to do is a vision board. I love vision boards. I don't know if you guys have done them before. Take a big old piece of cardboard, okay? Get yourself a bunch of magazines. Get yourself a bottle of wine. Get yourself some girlfriends. Get some wine. You know, you can do this in a fun setting as well, and go through magazines. And sometimes I'll just go through magazines and I just look through them, and I look for words like, and what you want to do is, ooh, that feels good, or oh, that's a cool picture, or oh, that's that. I cut those pictures out and I save them all in a little bag, and then I'll go once a year or whatever, I'll create a new dream board, a new vision board. And I have this vision board, and I feng shui it. So I divide it into different areas, and I put things on this board that when I look at it, it's like, it might be something as kids playing basketball with their mom, and it's like, oh, I want to spend more time with my kids and do more time with my kids, or an island. Yeah, who don't want to be on an island? Or, somebody, a woman getting a kiss with her foot up in the air. I save these pictures because they stimulate an emotion, and that emotion helps fast track things to you, okay? So highly encourage vision boards. Big fan of that. I'd also encourage you, going back to interacting with other people, bragging about things all the time. I'm not a fan of that. There's nothing wrong with saying, I'm great at what I do, I love what I do, this is my passion. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you're always bragging, or well, I'm this and I'm that and I'm this, you're really blowing a lot of energy out into the universe, you got to follow that up with action and creation. Okay. Oftentimes I see the people who are the biggest braggers are usually full of shit, is my experience. So just, note to self, actions speak louder than the BS that they're feeding you. Okay. We already talked about meditation, creating a space, creating a sacred space, getting your little tribe together. One of the other things I'd encourage you to do is say yes. Say yes more frequently. When you start getting clear on, I want my personal life to look like this. I want this in a partner. These are the qualities I'm looking for. This is what I like. With my kids, I would like this. With my career, I would like this. Financially, I would like this. I want you to say yes, because in order for you to kind of break out of being unstuck, you have to interact with other humans. This is part of the game. I want you to think of life as a really big puzzle, okay? And every time we take a step, another puzzle piece moves. Every time we interact and we meet somebody else that connects with us and clicks with us, another piece moves. And in this whole thing, we're building this beautiful picture around us. But you got to say yes to life, and you got to step out. And sometimes it means going places and doing things that you're like, yeah, I don't know, I'll just go and show up today. Yes, go and show up today. You never know who you're going to meet and who you're going to run into and who you're going to talk to. If you don't interact with other human beings, you cannot attract and collaborate. The universe is conspiring. The universe knows what you want, okay? You've already told the universe what you want when you get clear. It's trying to send people and little clues along the way. But if you just stay in your own little private Idaho, you're not ever seeing those clues. So you got to get out and interact with the real world and play a game. It's a serendipitous little game of playing a game of looking for, oh, there's another clue. Oh, the universe is very funny. You'll never believe who called me today. And the more you step into this flow and you create and you're connected with divine and you create time to meditate and listen and start following your dreams and saying yes, you're going to see things coming a lot quicker to you. And lastly, I kind of want to end with, in my experience, and I've been doing body work since 1987, and I've been a doctor for 20 years. In my experience, I will tell you, I personally feel like a lot of anxiety, majority of anxiety, is pent up energy, and you're not creating. You're stuck. You're stuck. And you're agitated because you have all this energy, and that energy is your light, to let your light shine and for you to express and share your gifts and talents with other people. But if you're not letting your light shine and you're keeping that all in, you're agitated and anxious all the time. You have to let that light shine, because when you start letting that light shine and start showing up as your authentic self and doing what you love to do and sharing your passion with other people, they're gonna see that light, and you're gonna attract people effortlessly because they're attracted to your light. But if you don't let your light shine, they can't get to you, and they can't find you, and they can't be part of your tribe and collaborate with you, okay? So that's why it is essential for you to shed your skin and be authentic and start letting your light shine. And listen, none of us got it together. This is evolution. We're always evolving and growing and learning. We're always doing it. There's no end. There's no end, except when we transform and become spirit world, and then they're on the other side helping us out. So we're always creating and we're always attracting. And so what I would remind people is, if you're feeling anxious or you're, God, I'm just irritable and I don't know why. Well, yeah, because you're supposed to be doing something. What are you being called to do that you're not paying attention to? Okay. So that's been my experience, and I share that with people all the time. So anyway, in closing, I would just like to invite you to be conscious creators. We are all here for a purpose, and if you're watching this or you're listening, it's because you're supposed to let your light shine so the world's a brighter place, okay? This is not about staying small. Staying small is not serving anybody, and it's not allowing you to use your gifts and talents, and you know what those are. Start saying yes to more of life and start living versus existing. The existing is a fear-based place that you have allowed yourself to be stuck in. It's okay. Now you know, and now that you know, it's time to get busy living, okay? So that's my thought for today, is get busy living. And thank you for tuning in. Have a good one, Dr. Leona. Bye-bye.
Hi everybody, it's Amber Foy. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of the Wellness Summit. I'm honored to be here as a guest, and I'm super excited to share my story with you. I'm going to talk about my transformation, specifically as it relates to emotional eating and dealing with anxiety and depression. I know this is a super scary subject to talk about, but I want to start a conversation around it, break the stigma, and bring awareness to the subject. Because with our society and the obesity epidemic, emotional eating relates directly to why we have that problem. So let's support each other and start this conversation so that we can acknowledge the problem and work to fix it. So just to give you a little bit about me, I am an ACE certified health coach and a Pilates instructor. I've been in the fitness industry for about 10 years, and with that comes a lot of pressure and emphasis on body image. This was something that I very much struggled with because I'm not a small girl. I'm very curvy. I always have been. And I put a lot of pressure on myself to look the way that everybody else did and to fit in. Those emotions that came with that really spiraled me into a deep depression. And I didn't realize I was living with it for about 10 years. It was almost the entire time that I've been teaching fitness. So I have a 4 and a 6-year-old at home, and I've been married to my husband George for 8 years. He's very supportive of me, and we're constantly striving to teach them healthy options, to lead by example, and to give them the tools that they need to make healthy decisions as they grow up. I want to talk about how I personally overcame my eating disorder. So I realized I was living with binge eating disorder. And if you're unfamiliar with that, it's where you eat more food than your body can handle in a very unhealthy way. You eat until you're beyond full. And a lot of the times it leads to feelings of shame, guilt, resentment, all of which I experienced. And I always tried to hide everything that I was eating. I was embarrassed of what I did. I felt very out of control around food. And then one fall, I experienced a hallucination of sorts, where it was this out-of-body experience, and I felt as if a higher power was speaking to me about stepping up or spiraling into a deeper depression. So with the support of my family and my friends, I was able to step up, make the commitment to myself, and acknowledge that I wanted to learn how to love myself and to love my body. So after having kids, dealing with postpartum depression, having that linger, dealing with the changes that my body had gone through, it just made my body image worse. But then a friend came to me and said, there's this program called Body Talk, and I think you could really benefit from it. She said, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle change, which was really appealing to me because diets never resonated with me. I didn't want a quick fix. I wanted something that I could be proud of working for and that I knew was going to last. Something that I could teach my kids. So when she told me more about the program, because I was a little skeptical at first, I was very scared to try something new, as a lot of people are. She told me, you don't have to count macros, you don't have to count calories, you don't have to count points. And I thought, well, how am I going to lose weight if I'm not focusing on food? And she said, that's the point. You don't want to focus on food. You don't want to focus on depriving yourself of food. You just want to focus on listening to your body. She said you can become your own health, fitness, and nutrition expert just by listening to your body. And that really intrigued me. So I decided to sign up for the program. It's a 9-week program, all online. And the best part about it is that because there's other members in the group, there's about 25 members in the group, you're held accountable because you have this support system of other men and women who are going through the same thing that you are. And what I realized along that journey is that I was not the only one dealing with emotional eating. So many people who are wanting to lose weight were dealing with emotional eating. And for me, I did want to lose weight because I was overweight at the time. I wasn't exercising. And because of that, it made my depression worse. So losing the weight was an added benefit. But for me, I just needed to kind of rewire my thought process so that I can learn to love myself. Throughout the 9-week process, I learned little tiny tweaks that I could make along the way so that I wasn't making a bunch of changes all at once, because that can be so overwhelming. So each week I learned and focused on something new. And I was having a conversation with somebody today who said she's having a hard time focusing on herself and she's having a hard time staying focused. So it's something that I learned that you have to make a commitment to yourself and really follow through with that commitment. So one way to do that is to create a mantra or a quote or find a word that inspires you. And anytime you're feeling negative, or if you're feeling down, or if you're feeling unmotivated, come back to that mantra, come back to that inspiring word. For me, it was vulnerability. I was always told, Amber, you have your guard up. Amber, you need to let your guard down. You're so closed off. And a lot of this came from my anxiety and my depression. And that was because of my relationship with food. As I started cleaning up my eating habits, I started feeling better mentally, which allowed me the motivation to work out. And then when I was exercising more, I felt even better. I was getting more sleep. I had more energy. I had more patience. It was just an all-around transformation. So physically, I lost 30 pounds, but emotionally, I gained so much more confidence. I gained the ability to be vulnerable and the ability to open up and share my story. And it impacted me so deeply that that's when I decided to become a health coach. I wanted to help other people with the same struggles that I have gone through and help them overcome similar situations. So, why do so many diets fail? Why do we go on diets and why do they fail? Because your metabolism slows down. So this constant up and down is not doing anything good for your body. We want to be in that perfect balance of homeostasis so that our body can function properly and our hormones can be balanced and our brain chemistry can be balanced and everything's in perfect harmony. So that's why a lifestyle change is so important to me versus a diet, and why that really helped me so much. As I talked about, this is a very, very common issue. I'm sure if you were to open up and talk about it to your friends, you would realize that they have a similar situation. So when it comes to emotional eating, it really serves emotional needs rather than physical hunger. So feelings of sadness, of loneliness, of boredom, of stress. Like I was saying earlier, it leads to feelings of being powerless, feelings of guilt, feelings of resentment. These are all things that lead to emotional eating. And if you're wondering if you're an emotional eater, you can ask yourself some of these questions. Do you eat more when you're feeling stressed? Do you eat when you're not hungry or feeling full? Do you eat to feel better? Do you eat to reward yourself? It doesn't have to be a negative thing. You can eat to reward yourself with a celebration or a party or a holiday, with as much social situations that we all have. It's always surrounded around food. So I challenge you on your next social outing to go for a walk, take a Pilates class, take a cycle class, have a book club, do something that's not related to food, and see how you feel afterwards. Maybe even cut out the alcohol and drink water instead, or drink tonic water. Any little tiny tweaks that you can make is going to help your overall mental capacity to propel yourself forward. So I want to talk about the difference between emotional hunger and physical hunger. So emotional hunger comes from the head. Physical hunger comes from the stomach. So emotional hunger usually comes on pretty suddenly. You generally are going to crave comfort foods, hence the word comfort. Leads to mindless eating. So when you're bored and you go to the fridge and you start picking at this, picking at that, and then, before you know it, you've consumed an entire meal as a snack and you didn't even realize it. And 9 times out of 10, that's unhealthy foods that you're choosing. For me, it was anything salty and crunchy chips. So another way to confront that is to keep those foods out of the house. Make a plan before you go to the grocery store and try to set aside, as hard as it is in our busy schedule, try to set aside 10 to 15 minutes every weekend just to plan your meals for the week. Set a grocery list, stick to that, and then commit to that plan, because you deserve it and you're worth it. Your family's worth it too. There's no excuses on why you shouldn't be able to accomplish that. Even if you're running kids to practices all night long, plan your meals, pack the lunches, pack the dinners, and have it ready to go. Chop up your vegetables over the weekend so they're ready to go and you don't have to take that time throughout the week after you're getting off work. There are ways around it. You just have to get a little bit creative and be open-minded to that change. Physical hunger is obviously something that comes from the stomach. You get that gnawing sensation in your belly. You get a little rumbling, a hollowing sensation. But I want to emphasize here, never, ever, ever starve yourself. You should never feel like you're starving when your stomach is empty. We just want to fix the out of balance hormones and the brain chemistry and kind of rewire our brains to adjust to what it feels like to have an empty stomach and not a full stomach. And realize that that's okay. If you're feeling anxious about that, or you get to that hangry stage, or you're frustrated, drink a glass of water, drink a glass of tea, fill your belly with something so that you're consuming calories, or you're filling your body with energy. You will notice a difference. If you're not sure of the difference between head hunger or stomach hunger, you can ask yourself, when was the last time I ate? Did I eat a nutrient-dense meal, or did I just eat mindlessly? Am I thirsty? Am I tired? If you feel any of those things, use distractions. Go for a walk, call a friend, socialize, and then come back to it and ask yourself about 5 minutes later, are you still hungry? So another thing that we can do is identify triggers. A lot of us like to hide from our emotions. That was me. I pushed my emotions down and continued to push them down to the surface, beneath the surface actually. And some of those emotions were anger, fear, sadness, loneliness, resentment, shame. So you can reward positive behaviors as well by giving yourself permission to set down the phone, go for a walk, enjoy some time without the kids. Get creative in ways that you can really give yourself some self-care. It makes all the difference. Some of the other triggers that can be very impactful are childhood triggers, social situations. Stress is a huge one. So learning to manage stress and cope with stress is a very important factor in all of this. And keeping your focus. You know, that comes back to the mantra or the quote that I had suggested. Repeat that to yourself. I want to do an exercise now before we wrap everything up. If you're comfortable, close your eyes and just listen to the water if you can hear the water behind me. And acknowledge where you are. Notice your body, if it feels heavy, if it feels soft, if you feel full, if you feel empty, if you're having any emotions that pop up. And then take a deep belly breath. Really let your lungs expand. And then exhale fully through your mouth. And then when you're ready, open your eyes and notice how you feel now. Do you feel more peaceful? Do you feel more grounded? Do you feel calm? It's a little trick that you can use if you're feeling that emotional tension to eat food when you're stressed. It's another thing you can do, you know, if you're at work or if you're in the car, and just don't close your eyes in the car. Please don't close your eyes in the car. Just practice that deep breathing, that meditation. If you have anxious energy, run up and down the stairs, go for a walk. Running up and down the stairs was huge for me. It sounds silly, but I would do 5 or 6 laps up and down the stairs and it would get rid of that anxiety. So whatever emotions you're feeling, try to tap into what you can do to distract yourself from feeling that way. So my biggest takeaway from all of this is that I want you to practice mindfulness. Taking a pause between every bite that you eat. Really taking the time to appreciate where your food came from, what you did to prepare that food, and appreciate all the flavors and the textures that it has. Just being mindful. So, if you enjoyed this presentation, I encourage you to connect with me on Facebook or follow me on Instagram at mindfullifeaf. And I also recommend a free service that Body Talk offers. So we offer motivational tips, recipes, and exercises for free. All you need to do is text BT, B as in body, T as in talk, tips, all one word, to 630-318-0555. Thank you guys so much again for having me be part of this summit. I hope that that I answered some questions, that I enlightened you a little bit. And like I said, I would love to connect with you. So if you have any questions for me, please reach out. And I look forward to talking to you soon. Have a great day.